A 0.1 world. Part 1. Something bigger than lost money. Chapter 1. The morning the numbers disappeared. On the morning the app wouldn't open, Ethan kept refreshing it, over and over, until his thumb felt hot. Maybe it's just maintenance? He tried to calm himself down. When people truly start to fall apart, they don't think it's over right away. They think the opposite. It can't be. It's probably just a temporary error. But when customer service didn't answer, the website vanished, and the word scam started spreading online. Ethan's stomach sank slowly, like an elevator dropping with the cables snapped. He sat on his bed and gave a small, empty laugh. Wow. My life, really? The sound caught in his throat. It wasn't quite laughter, not quite crying. That night, he didn't tell anyone. If he told his mom, he could already hear, "I knew this would happen." If he told his friends, he imagined hearing, "Same here," or, "It's not just you." He didn't want those words. The one thing he wanted to hear was simple, "You're not stupid." But somehow, that sentence wouldn't come from inside him. Chapter 2. A harsh post that wouldn't leave his mind. Ethan kept going back to the post. Misfortune is not random. The more he read, the worse it felt. It sounded like it was saying scam victims don't deserve respect. Like someone seeing you fall and saying, "You had it coming," instead of reaching out a hand. And still, he couldn't stop returning to it, because the post was so confident. And confidence pulls people in, whether it's right or wrong. Ethan glared at his screen and whispered, "Fine, then what did I do wrong?" But the words didn't land as an argument. They landed as a question. From that day on, Ethan began to change. Nothing looked different from the outside, but something shifted in his head. For the first time, he began to study his own life. Chapter 3. Words that hit people, and words that save people. In a campus talk, a former public servant said something sharp. "What matters more than the scam is what it turns you into." Ethan wanted to argue, then stopped, because it was painfully accurate. After getting scammed, Ethan didn't want to become either of these people, someone who mistrusts everyone forever, someone who hates himself forever, but both had already started inside him. The speaker continued, "Blaming yourself is easy, but it's not a solution. Research isn't blame. It's finding patterns." That day, instead of asking, "Was it my fault or not?" Ethan asked, "Why was I so drawn to fast profit? Why did I ignore warning signs? Why do I believe people so quickly when they say, 'It's safe'?" Those questions hurt, but it was a different kind of pain. Not the pain of tearing at a wound, the pain of removing a dirty bandage and cleaning it. Part 2. Ethan's experiment. Notebook, Chapter 4. The Social Research Notebook. Ethan bought a black notebook. On the first page he wrote, "Ethan's Social Research Note," and under it, in smaller letters, "I want to trust my life again." His research wasn't grand. It started with watching his day. Convenience store shifts, group projects, conversations with friends, his mom's nagging. He realized something. The scam was huge, but it wasn't the only thing that could ruin a life. Most damage came from smaller things. The habit of brushing things off, the reflex to blame others, the attitude of avoiding uncomfortable truths, promises that vanish when no one takes responsibility. The word role began to make sense. A role wasn't some big job title. It was the attitude you choose in the place you're standing. Chapter 5. Mina's honest line. Mina, his old friend, was studying for the civil service exam. When they met at a cafe, she looked exhausted. "Honestly, I'm doing it because it's stable. That's the truth." Ethan said, "Stability isn't bad, but have you heard someone call the salary research funding?" Mina laughed. "If I call my paycheck research funding, will it magically get bigger?" Ethan laughed too, then got serious. "It won't get bigger, but your standards change." "My standards?" "If your goal is just to save money, you'll end up only seeing yourself. But if your goal is to make society better, money becomes a tool." Mina went quiet. Not joking, quiet. Real thinking quiet. As she left, she said, "Honestly, that sounds scary." Ethan nodded. "Me too, but maybe being scared means you're facing the right direction." Part 3. Accidents. Don't ask permission. Chapter 6. A call through the phone. Ethan assumed the day would be normal. He was walking home after work when his phone rang. "Ethan, where are you right now?" His mom's voice was shaking. "Why? What happened?" "Your dad. He got in an accident." Ethan froze. "What kind of accident?" "A car crossed the center line and after that," Ethan barely heard her words. His ears rang. The world felt far away. He grabbed a taxi and rushed to the hospital. The road outside the windows stretched like it was unreal. At the hospital, his father was inside the ER. The air smelled like antiseptic and something metallic. His mom sat in a plastic chair, hands trembling. Ethan held her hand and it felt ice cold. Then that sentence from the post flashed in his mind again. "Accidents, illness, and misfortune are not random," Ethan shouted inside his head. "No, not this. What did my dad do wrong? The other car crossed the line." He was furious. He hated the person who wrote the post. He hated every voice that spoke like it knew everything. But when the anger faded, something worse rose up. What if it's true? That possibility hurt even more. Chapter 7. Ethan's first big mistake. A few days later, his friend Junho called. "Dude, you know that older guy we know? He got scammed too." Junho sounded furious. "He's really kind. Why would something like that happen to him?" Ethan's hospital emotions came back, and with them, a colder voice inside him. Without thinking, Ethan said, "Maybe he got greedy or something?" Junho went silent. "What?" Ethan tried to backtrack, but it was too late. "I mean, you know, people say..." Junho's voice dropped. "Ethan, are you serious? When you got scammed, if someone said that to you, how would you feel? You were crushed. And now you're saying the same thing." The call ended. Ethan stared at his phone. The screen went dark and his face reflected faintly. His own face looked unfamiliar. Was I always like this? That night, he wrote in his notebook, "Today, I judged someone, and my words hit them." Then underneath, "This perspective can save people, but it can also destroy them." For the first time, Ethan understood. Even good ideas can become knives if you use them wrong. Part 4. A family's injury and what research really means. Chapter 8. His father's silence. His father survived, but healing wasn't simple. He became quiet. He hadn't been talkative before, but now he was truly silent. During meals, while watching TV, he would just stare out the window. That scared Ethan more than anything. One day, Ethan asked carefully, "Dad, are you okay?" After a long pause, his father said, "I'm fine." But it didn't sound fine at all. Ethan wrote in his notebook, "An accident isn't solved by finding the reason. A wounded heart lasts longer than a wounded body." He realized, karma talk can give people explanations, but if the explanation covers the wound instead of healing it, it rots deeper underneath. So Ethan changed the question. Not, "Why did this happen?" but, "Now that it happened, what kind of people will we become?" Chapter 9. What a school really means. Ethan went back to the temple, not to pray, just to breathe. A monk said, "You're exhausted from chasing causes." Ethan confessed, "I judged someone. I said the exact thing I hated hearing when I got scammed." The monk nodded. "Then what did you learn?" Ethan swallowed. "That words can save people. Or kill them. Good. That's what a school is." Ethan thought about it. A temple, a church, any place. It didn't have to be a place you visit to wish problems away. It could be a place where you learn who you're becoming. That day, Ethan sent Junho a long message. He didn't make excuses. He didn't say, "That's not what I meant." He just owned it. I'm sorry. You're right. I was shattered when it happened to me, and I turned around and said it to someone else. I used that perspective like a weapon instead of a tool for understanding. Junho didn't reply right away. That silence hurt. Then a few days later, one short message came. Fine, but if you do it again, I'm done. Ethan read it, laughed, and then suddenly cried. Yeah, I can't do it again. At 5. Where Ethan's path turned. Chapter 10. An internship posting. After the accident, Ethan needed to earn money again. But oddly, he didn't want to live only for money anymore. On the campus board, he saw a posting. Youth Center Project Internship Program Planning Support, Surveys and Data Analysis, On-Site Operations. Ethan stared at it. This is looking at society up close. He hesitated while writing his application. Do I deserve work like this? I'm the guy who judged someone. Then he remembered the line in his notebook. Research isn't blame, it's finding patterns. And he added, growth isn't a qualification, it's a process. He submitted the application. Chapter 11. The first sight, the first shock. The teens at the youth center were more diverse than Ethan expected. A kid who studied hard but had a very poor home. A kid with a rough mouth who still protected younger siblings. A kid who smiled while his eyes stayed anxious. A kid who said, "There's no future anyway." Ethan felt shaken. My world has been so small. While sorting survey results, one sentence kept appearing. Adults don't understand us. Ethan copied it into his notebook and wrote beside it. Maybe public service isn't about control, but about understanding. For the first time, public office didn't feel like paperwork. It felt like studying people and changing systems. Part 6. Ethan didn't want to be a leader. Chapter 12. The weight of the word leader. Near the end of the internship, the team lead said, "Ethan, can you present this part at the next meeting?" Ethan's heart dropped. Me? Yeah, you've seen the most on site. That night, Ethan's hands shook while making slides. Leader. I hate that word. I'm not that kind of person. But on presentation day, he remembered one teen's face, a kid who spoke harshly but answered the survey most honestly. That kid had said, "No adult has ever really listened to us." Ethan began. When I organized the data, one sentence kept stopping me. Adults don't understand us. I think that sentence isn't just complaining. It's a signal. The room went quiet, and Ethan felt it. Maybe a leader isn't someone impressive. Maybe it's someone who doesn't ignore signals. Afterward, the team lead said, "That was a really strong perspective." For the first time, Ethan felt a reward that wasn't money. Trust. Part 7. The biggest test. Not judgment, but responsibility. Chapter 13. Junho's accident. On a rainy night, Junho called. "Ethan, I'm at the police station." Ethan's breath caught. "What? Why?" Junho's voice trembled. "My friend had a motorcycle crash. I was there. I'm hurt too, and it might be my fault." Ethan ran out the door. On the way, that old line tried to return. Accidents aren't random. The old Ethan might have grabbed it and used it to judge. But the current Ethan thought differently. My job right now isn't to declare the cause. It's to stand next to Junho. At the station, Junho's hands were shaking. Ethan sat beside him without forcing words. Junho whispered, "I'm scared. A person can disappear so fast." Ethan answered softly, "Yeah, it's scary. But what you need to do now isn't run. It's take responsibility." Junho's eyes filled. "Can I handle responsibility?" Ethan nodded. Responsibility doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you don't run until the end. That night, Ethan learned, a social role isn't nice words. It's the attitude that stays when things get hard. Part 8. Standing at the door of a choice. Chapter 14. Civil service? Public policy? A nonprofit? Near the end of his internship, the team lead asked, "So what's next for you?" Ethan couldn't answer. Civil service exam? Public institution work? Nonprofit? Graduate school? He opened his notebook to the first page again. I want to trust my life again. Now he could add, I want my life to flow in a direction that helps someone. He didn't have total certainty, but he knew one thing. He wouldn't choose only stability anymore. He decided to study public policy and build experience first, instead of rushing straight into an exam. He told Mina, I know you're studying for the civil service exam, but I hope your goal isn't just passing. I hope it's deciding what kind of public servant you'll be. Mina smiled, then became serious. I think I want that too. Part 9. The meaning of 0.1 mm. Changes. Chapter 15. 0.1 mm wasn't punishment. It was honesty. One day, Ethan took a walk with his father. His father wasn't fully healed, but his face was slowly returning. His father said, You've changed a lot. Ethan smiled. I think I used to only think about money and success. His father nodded. After the accident, I thought a lot too. Ethan asked carefully, Dad, why do you think it happened? His father thought for a long time. I don't know, but I learned one thing. After that day, I became more careful, and you became tougher. Ethan let out a breath. He didn't believe misfortune was punishment, but he also didn't believe it was meaningless. What he believed was this: life can be precise. But that precision might not be about punishing someone. It might be about recording who you're becoming. That night, Ethan wrote on the last page, I won't be a researcher who judges people. I'll be a researcher who tries to understand them. Then he added, success isn't having a lot, it's earning trust, and protecting that trust until the end. Ethan smiled quietly. This time, he knew what it meant to trust himself again.